Hi, AT from CNC at Home. If you're using your laser and you're going to make multiple of something, one way to do it would be one at a time. When it's done, swap out the material for a new piece of material, start the burn again. That's not always an efficient way to do it. If you want to do a grid of those and you want it to be repeatable, you really need to have a template. Now, when I think of a template, I always think of more of a fixture from when I was in manufacturing, something made out of steel or aluminum, something that was heavy and durable and would last forever, and that's expensive. For what I do with my laser, I don't need something that complicated. One thing I could do would be to router something out using the CNC router. The problem there is its working area is so much smaller than my laser, it wouldn't be an effective template. And it would be time consuming and really probably overkill for what I need to do. What I've done for simple templates, really super simple templates, is just use masking tape. I'll just put masking tape down on the honeycomb board, maybe just make a little L shape. So, and then that corner is a repeatable location I can put my material in. But again, that's just one at a time. Again, if you want to do multiple at a time, create a template. I want to show you a cheap and easy way to create a template that will let you do, in this case, 6 of something, whether it be coasters, dog tags, anything that fits in about a square about so big. I'm going to do it at 110 millimeters because that's the size of a coaster. And it'll allow me to position 6 coasters or 6 whatevers on the template and get them in close enough position time after time so that when I burn 6 of those, I can put new material in, everything's all lined up, run the same program or run a new program that does 6 different things, whatever. For this, I'm going to use a piece of cardstock that I have. It's large enough to allow me to create 6 locations, so 2 rows of 3, where I can position things. Essentially, I only need that little L in the corner, but I'm going to make a square. I'm also going to put 2 registration marks on that so I can use the feature within LightBurn called Print and Cut. That will allow me to put this template, just plop it down, maybe tape it in place so it doesn't move. Using those registration marks, then LightBurn will know if it's a little crooked or not. The other option is to spend a little more time, put the template in place, make sure that it's square with the laser. 2 totally different methods to use that. Both will work just fine. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Let's head over to LightBurn and I will show you how to design up a simple template. Now that we're in LightBurn, the first thing I want to do is make a working rectangle that represents the size of the cardstock that I have. So I will just create a rectangle, some random size. I'm going to put that on my tool layer 1, since I'm not actually going to ever be cutting this. I'm going to unlock my aspect ratio, and then I can key in the width, which is about 355 millimeters, and the height is 275. Let's go ahead and lock that aspect back down. Then I can go ahead and just take that shape and plop it in the corner, just like that. This represents essentially the size of the piece of cardstock I have. I want to put another rectangle on here, but this time I don't want it to be I don't want it to be just any old rectangle. This one initially I'm going to burn it. And then when I turn this into a template, it's going to be a tool layer as well. So it just is a placeholder where I can put projects that I want to burn. I'll come in here, and by holding the Shift key while I make this, I will get a square. There we have that nice square. I'm going to plop that onto the first layer. And I'm going to adjust its size. I'm going to have that to be 110 square. And I'm not going to plop it all the way down in the corner. I want some room to work with. So I'm going to up here and say I want to control its lower left-hand corner, and I'm going to put that exactly 20 millimeters up and over. I want to position that right there. This is basically all we have to do. This is going to be our template. When I burn this out, I'm not literally going to burn it out of the cardstock. I'm just going to etch on the cardstock. I'm going to make a square, and it's this lower left-hand corner that I really want. And I can position something in here, but we need to duplicate this. So I'm going to use the array tool. So I'm going to create an array. Actually, I need to select my object first, then create an array. And I'm going to do 3 of those across, 2 of them up. And I want the spacing between these to be 20 millimeters. I have a lot of spacing between them. If I just move this out of the way, we can see that it doesn't quite fit, which is fine. Remember, I only need this lower left-hand corner, so this one extends off the side. Not going to be a big deal. So I'm fine with that. I also have the option of creating a virtual array. And what that does is it keeps this first one as the master, and these others are copies of it, but they're linked copies. So if I make a change to the master, it affects these others. I really don't need that in this case because it's just squares. So we'll leave that turned off. I'll go ahead and click OK. Now these should be grouped together because that's how LightBurn does this. And that's fine, except I'm going to go ahead and trim these 2 up because I don't want to burn out here where I'm just wasting time. Just kind of being picky about that, I guess. We'll go ahead and ungroup that. And then on this guy, I'm going to convert him from a shape into a path. I'm going to do the same for this one. Now that it's a path instead of a shape, I can come over to my node editor. I can turn that on. And if I hover over this part of the line, I can hit the letter T, and that'll trim that away. I come down and do the same thing for this one, and that trims that away. That's all I needed to do. Now I have my 6 template areas. That could be the end. However, I want to add some registration marks, and that will allow us to use the print and cut feature that we find here under laser tools. We can use this print and cut feature if I have 2 defined spots. The first one literally is going to be this corner, so I don't need to put a registration mark of any kind because I can pick this corner for that, but I'm going to put one on just for visual. And then I'll put another one up here, a specific distance from this one. So to make my registration mark, I'm just going to create a circle. Again, I click the oval tool, and if I hold the shift key, see how it's a circle. And then I'm going to make its width 20, so that's exactly 20 millimeter circle. Now that I have that done, I want to add some lines to it. Let's zoom in so we can see how this works. I made sure that my snap to grid was on, which will allow me to do this a little more easily. I come over to my line tool, and then I'll just say I want a line to start here, and I want it to end here. I don't have to be right exactly on it. You can see how it snaps into place. It kind of is assuming that that's what I want, and that's exactly what I want. Press the escape in that line. And then we'll do a new line from up there down to there. This is our registration mark. What I'll do is I'll just highlight the whole thing. I'm going to group that together. Right click, duplicate. I've got 2 registration marks. That simple. We'll zoom back out. This first registration mark, I'm going to move down here. I'll just snap that right on that corner. And this one, I have a specific location. I know that this one is at 20 millimeters X, 20 millimeters Y. I want this one over here, and I've already pre-calculated its location. Oh, phew. Wow. Okay. I thought I had my numbers right, and I was trying to figure out why am I 10 off? That's because I'm going from the lower left-hand corner, and my brain was saying you're going to the center. All right, so the center of this should be... Where are my notes? There we go. So it's 340 by 260. That looks a lot better. That's where we want this registration mark. And because I want to treat these a little bit differently, I'm going to press the Control key and select this one. I'm going to put them on the blue layer. Just because. I have a little extra control on that. Now, basically, the template's done. I do want to add another feature. And because this is going to be a full sheet of paper and I'm not cutting anything through it, it's going to block all of the downdraft ventilation that I have. What I'm going to do is I'm going to basically cut a rectangle out here, 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 basically between all of these. That will leave some room for air to flow through there. So we'll just come down here, make a rectangle, something about like that. Doesn't need to be exact. I'm going to put that on a red layer because this one's going to cut through. And then we'll just duplicate that. Duplicate. We'll slide one over here. And we'll say duplicate. And we'll slide one over about here. We'll say duplicate. And by pressing the period, I'll rotate that 90 degrees. And I can move that over here. Duplicate. Because I'm lazy, I'm going to press Shift, select this other one, right click, duplicate, and slide 2 over. Something like that. Okay, this should be the final look for our template. The red squares are going to be ventilation holes to help draw any icky gases and stuff down. The black squares are going to represent areas where I can place material, and the blue registration points will also be etched on there to help me align this with the laser, either placing this point somewhere specifically and telling LightBurn that that's the origin, or somehow other way defining exactly where this is, coming up to this point and either rotating the whole template so the laser dot hits right here, or come up and use the print and cut feature and define these 2 points and let LightBurn calculate any rotation difference that might be in there. I will want to trim this rectangle up, so we'll do like we did with the other one. I will convert that to a path, come into the node editor, and just trim this off. Just like that. So for the black layers, let me just get these all selected. Actually, I don't need to select them. They're all in the black layer. I want to get those assigned from my library. So I'm going to go to cardstock. So on the black layer, we'll come into our etching parameters and we'll click our dark brown. And this is for line. And I will assign that. Then I'll come down to the blue layer. I will assign it to that one since that's also etching. The red layer is going to be a cut. And the stuff that I'm using is about 0.48. No, not 0.438. About 110 pound-ish. So we'll go ahead and assign this as our cut-through parameter on the red layer. Okay. And we'll do that last. We'll do actually, I'll want to do these first. So we'll do the blue ones first, and the black, and then the red ones. All the parameters are set. If we do a preview, this whole thing's not going to take that long to cut. Just a little over 2 minutes. which makes sense. So what's going to take the most time are those red lines. We can go ahead and save this, and we can send it to the laser. As I started removing the ventilation slots, I realized that the etching wasn't really that good. I hadn't used the right parameters on here. They were too light, the registration marks were too light, couldn't really see it, and I'd already moved the laser away from the origin that I was using. That meant I was kind of stuck with what I had. Not liking that, I had a clever solution. I just flipped the thing over and redid it from the other side. Seemed to work okay. Alright, well, if at first you don't succeed, like I did on the back side, just flip it over and do it again. I made sure that my registration marks were nice and dark up here and here. You can see those. I'm looking at this bottom one, and I may have gone a little overboard. A little bit, because it's cut all the way through. Let's see if you can see that on these couple pieces. I've cut all the way through, so I need to be careful with that. This side seems to be on there okay, but it's this corner that I care about, so hopefully that'll stay. Now that we've etched and cut our template on our cardstock, we need to take our LightBurn template and make it back into a template that we can use for creating things and then using the paper template that we created. Does that make any sense? It's very easy to do. All we have to do is essentially just take everything that we've etched, burned, cut, whatever you want to call it, grab everything, and we can throw it onto a tool layer. Now it won't cut. We see everything. We can identify our registration marks. We really could get rid of these ventilation holes if we wanted, but I'm just going to leave them just in case. With everything on a tool layer, now I can save this as a template. Then when I want to use my new paper template, I start by calling this up, building something in each one of these squares or copying them around, however I want to do it. Then I can burn it, and I know my material is going to be in the right spot. Simple as that. Kind of cool. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. This is a cheap way to make a template, and it should be super useful for doing multiple coasters or multiple anything that fits in this area. Enjoy doing your CNC at home projects.